sometimes people think automatically, like, I'm going to go to this big cancer hospital because that's the best name in the world. But that doesn't mean that that place has the very best person in the world for your type of cancer. Cancer is not cancer. Each individual cancer is treated very uniquely. Almost 1 in every 2 people is going to face this in some form or fashion, either themselves or with a loved one. When we think about second opinions, think about just your day-to-day life. When you go to buy a car, don't you usually check with more than one dealership? In oncology, sometimes that doesn't happen because it is such a jarring diagnosis, and you feel like, oh, my life's at stake. I don't have time. Men, I think, are afraid to go out and hear that diagnosis or go get a screening. It's kind of like if it's out of sight, out of mind. The whole 1 to 2 hour appointment was sitting down and helping them walk through their whole journey.
Wait, 1 to 2 hour appointment, you said?
Yes.
And it's unheard of in the medical.
It's unheard of. Our physicians always take the time to say to the caregiver or the partner to say, how are you doing? Oftentimes the caregiver gets lost.
Of course.
It's all about the patient, and of course it should be, but that caregiver is going through just as much emotional turmoil and upset. We're agnostic to insurance as it relates. So if you have nothing and you have no insurance, you can see us. If you do have insurance, you can see us. Dr. Barrett's ultimate goal was to reduce the mortality and suffering associated with a cancer diagnosis.
Today's guest is one of those rare humans who blends compassion, strategy, and servant leadership in powerful ways. Lana Uhrig is a nurse, a PhD in public health, and a nationally recognized healthcare executive. She's led major cancer centers across the country, including Emory University and the University of Cincinnati, and is now the heart and force behind Naples Cancer Advisors, a nonprofit providing platinum-level oncology consultations and second opinions, 100% free to cancer patients in Southwest Florida. She's not just transforming cancer care, she's redefining what support and dignity look like during life's hardest battles. Welcome.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Certainly is a team effort, not just me, but that's a great intro.
Yeah, well, you were brought on by the founder for a reason. He knew you had something special and chose you for this mission that he's on, right? Can you tell us a little about that? I know we touched on it a little bit beforehand, but who is he and how did you get affiliated with him, and why are you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Barrett, Dr. Bill Barrett is our founder, and I met him back in 2016 when I worked at the University of Cincinnati. I worked there as the executive administrative director for the cancer program under his leadership. And so I worked with him for a few years, and right before I left to go to Emory to work there. And as I was leaving to come back home, I had left my position at Emory and was coming back to Ohio, just coming right out of COVID and ready to come back to Ohio. I called Dr. Barrett to say, you know, I'm headed back to Ohio, and he's like, well, what are you going to do next? And I said, I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to, decide what I want to do. I said, right now I'm going to go on vacation. I'm taking a cruise. And he said, well, why don't you think about, I'd really like to open a second site in Naples. Would you consider going down and helping get that off the ground? And so I thought about it, and I'd never been to Naples. I'd been to Florida. Living in Atlanta, I had driven to Destin several times and knew the white sand side of the West Coast and the Gulf, but had never been to Naples. So I said yes, because he's a pretty great guy and he's hard to say no to, and just have such admiration for him and his vision and his mission for what he wants to achieve in elevating cancer care and helping patients in an altruistic way. And that's really what I think we're about, is really trying to help people through the most difficult period of their time, period of their life, to get through that difficult journey. So I came to Naples, and we got the business off the ground. But this originally started, to back to your question, I think I kind of weaved there a little bit. Dr. Barrett started this in 2015 on his own, just seeing patients in an office in Norwood, Ohio, on the weekends, in the evenings, and had the opportunity in 2018 to officially start a foundation, which is called the Cincinnati Cancer Foundation. And that really is the umbrella organization for Cincinnati Cancer Advisors and Naples Cancer Advisors. And with that, he worked with a local physician, Dr. Phil Lemming, and his nurse practitioner, Jill Hunt, who had been working together for a number of years in the Christ health system. And they came on board, and we launched the office in Cincinnati at that point in time. And so their very first year, it was right, they started in December, and COVID hit that very next year. But even so, still saw over 200 patients in the office that very first year. So people who were seeking that second opinion, wanting to know, do I have the right diagnosis? Am I on the right treatment plan? Looking for that reassurance to know that they were on the right path for their journey.
So what is the service that's provided? How is it different from other organizations, and what is the service?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I like to say it, we don't compete because we don't treat. It's a nice little rhyme, kind of sticks in your head. So we're consultative only. We hire physicians who are really top in their fields, expert oncologists in different specialties of cancer care, who look at the whole picture for a patient. So when a patient or a physician refers a patient to us, we collect all of their medical records, and we can see the patient either in the office or we can do it by telehealth. Right now, we service the Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati, northern Kentucky area, and the Southwest Florida market. And that's where our physicians see patients. And so, as I said, the patient can come in or we can do it by telehealth, but we do a complete medical review of all of their care and their treatment plan and evaluate, are they on the right plan? Are they eligible for a clinical trial? We'll do a nationwide search to see if there are any clinical trials that they might be eligible for. We do genetic testing and counseling. If that's something they can't afford, we pay for it as well, the genetic testing and counseling. And we also offer financial counseling service. There's the Patient Advocate Foundation, and that's a service that any patient that is part of our practice, we provide that free of charge. And that's something that we pay about $300 a patient just for them to be able to access that service. And they basically case manage the person, help to make sure that if they're eligible for copay assistance, Medicaid, Medicare, they really help evaluate, could they help them with copays and if they have a large medical debt, how they can help reduce that debt. So they really help them work through all the financial toxicity that comes with a cancer diagnosis. Yeah. And so we largely do all of that through this initial visit. But once a patient is a patient, they can continue to see us as much as they need to or want to. Sometimes people will see us one time. Sometimes people will see us through each stage and step of their cancer diagnosis all the way through survivorship.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who doesn't know someone who has cancer or has had cancer or has died of cancer. There's just, it's so pervasive everywhere. And I know that from my own personal experience, from the moment that diagnosis comes, from the C word, there's just so much emotional overwhelm and disbelief and upset around the whole, amongst the whole family and siblings and everybody who is affected by the one person and what they're hear that first moment when they hear that word. But then there's also this, there's a recommended treatment, but there's so much, it seems like there's so much time that goes between, all right, now we're going to have a follow-up, and then you have to see these other three people, and then you have to see these other, and there's all this space that's there that the mind is just tortured by the what ifs and the unknowns. So a second opinion sometimes seems like, well, that could be, you're going to get on a waiting list somewhere that's going to take forever to get a second opinion and go through so many hoops with that person that you already went through with this person. And So this is an interesting niche that I'd never heard about before. So how quickly is that process from day one? They get diagnosed and they get some testing done and they have that. And then how much longer after when they call you?
Well, go back to what you first said, which is, I think, a really important thing is that first, what happens initially when a patient is diagnosed. It's a really noisy process to get a diagnosis with cancer. There's so much chaotic, swirl around a person with their family, with all the Google searches.
That's
family.
The worst. You Google search, I know. That's the worst.
Yeah.
It's just disrupt. Yeah.
Family, friends, everybody's giving you advice. And when we think about second opinions, think about just your day-to-day life. When you go to buy a car, don't you usually check with more than one dealership? Don't you usually look at more than one option? I know that in the orthopedic space, that's a really common thing, that if you're going to have your knee replaced, you're going to check with a couple different surgeons before you let them replace your knee or do surgery on you. Sure. And I think in oncology, sometimes that doesn't happen because it is such a jarring diagnosis, and you feel like, oh, my life's at stake. I don't have time. I have to just move forward with whatever I'm told.
Right.
But I think that's where it's important to take a moment and take a breath, because there likely is some time to make a really well thought out decision. And I think that's where we can come in and really help people. And sometimes we can be the very first people that a patient might come to from not just a second opinion, but a first opinion. Maybe they've just found out they have cancer and they don't even have an oncologist yet. And that happens sometimes too, where we're that first opinion. And to your point earlier, you mentioned that sometimes people get bounced around between this appointment and that appointment. And that sometimes does happen. It takes sometimes people a long time to get to the right doctor, to get to the right specialist. They start out with they're seeing their primary care, something shows up, they send them to this doctor and they do a workup, and then that's not the right doctor who can take care of them, so then they have to make an appointment with another specialist. So seeing our physicians really early on actually can cut through all of that noise and really help people get set up to see the right physician at the right time. And that's where I think we can really serve in helping prevent the delay. So when a patient calls or a physician makes a referral, really the only limitation in time that it takes to see a patient is just a matter of the time it takes to get their records, which is usually somewhere, around a week and a half. So we can typically see someone within 1 to 2 weeks pretty quickly. Wow. And in that time, we've collected, and especially in the Florida market here, there are so many individual practices in the space. And I think we've all experienced that scenario where you get your patient portal and you've got your records in that patient portal. Well, oftentimes people have 5 or 6 portals. So they're trying to manage between all of these portals and put this whole picture together where they've had diagnostics at one location. They've, maybe had a surgery at this location. They're getting medications ordered from this location. Yes. And so that's all, very segmented. And so what we do is really help put that whole picture together. I like to say it's like a necklace, and we are taking the pearls and we're stringing the necklace, and we're helping a patient to really understand that full picture of what's going on. And when I first came down here, I had the opportunity to sit in on all of the visits with the patients because I served as the office nurse and the scheduler and the record getter and the janitor and the development person. So I got to do all of that, which was just I wouldn't trade it for the world because it was such a great experience. And I remember seeing patients come in and that look of anxiety and fear. They had been through all of those things you just said. They had been through the There's multiple appointments. They'd been through all of, everybody talking in their ear, telling him this and that. And they didn't really even understand what a second opinion was. They didn't know why they were really there, to be quite honest. Their physician told them to come see us. And they would say that, like, my doctor said to come see you, and I'm not really sure why I'm here. But they said I should get a second opinion. And so they would come into the visit and then sit down, and we had already collected all of their records. And basically the whole 1 to 2 hour appointment was sitting down and helping them walk through their whole journey.
Wait, 1 to 2 hour appointment, you said? Yeah,
yes.
And it's unheard of in the medical.
Unheard of.
It's usually 7 minutes, or I don't know what that number is.
Right. And that's all contact with a physician, too. That's not just, the physician dropping in for 5 minutes and then you talking to someone else the rest of that time. That's really high touch. Time that you get, and it's explaining, this is what this test means, and this is why you had this test, and this is why you're going to have this test, and this is what your diagnosis means, and this is what the trajectory is going to look like. And it's helping explain and empowering people. I think that's the best way to describe, I think, what we do. Is people come in very confused and very discombobulated.
Of course.
And so they walk out. We didn't change the fact that they have cancer. We didn't change the fact that they are going to have treatment. We may have given them some other options they didn't know about that can really change trajectory for them. But what they do walk out with is now a sense of understanding, a sense of empowerment, that they have some agency, they have some choice in the matter, and they know what questions to ask. Because that's what oftentimes happens when you're diagnosed. Lay people don't know all of this terminology, and you don't even know what questions to ask. You're just hoping that physician that you got referred to is the best in the world and has given you the very best advice. Sure. And I will say I have been very, very impressed and pleased with the caliber of the physicians here in the Southwest Florida market. There's a lot of really great oncologists here. And so I think one of the things that we are also able to do is help people feel comfortable to be able to stay local for their care, if that's the right thing for them to do, and being able to stay local. Because if you can stay close to family and not have to travel, especially as an example, when you're getting radiation therapy, you may have to go 30 times, and that's daily.
Yes.
And that can be extremely taxing for someone to have to drive 3 or 4 hours or stay away from family. Yeah. And if you get sick, you end up in the ER. That's usually back in your hometown. Yeah. And if you've had your care away from here, people don't know what's going on. Your local physicians don't know what your care has been. And so I think having that local oncologist, even if sometimes you need specialized care for other things like surgery or, specialties that they don't have here, having your home-based oncologist is a very important thing to have. And so I think we've really helped people to feel confident in the care that they're getting. And I also would say that to the point earlier about seeing us early on and helping them kind of cut through all of the noise, cut through the thicket, and get to the right person. Sometimes people think automatically, like, I'm going to go to this big cancer hospital because that's the best name in the world, or I'm going to go to this big place because that's the one I know.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that place has the very best person in the world for your type of cancer.
Right.
And so sometimes really having our help and advice to know what type of cancer you have, who is really the best in that area, who's doing the most work in research, clinical trials, we can do that VIP handoff. Our physicians have such amazing networks across the country that they can pick up the phone and make a phone call and really make a connection for a patient just that quick and cut through all of the noise.
That's interesting. That's really special too, because it's usually the first person you talk to will say, "Oh, you have to go to Moffitt, or you have to go here," without any knowledge at all. Really, it's just a brand that is affiliated with the C word or whoever it is. Oh, you need to go to Jacksonville, or you need to go, without any medical background at all. It's just based on,
Right.
hearsay. And the other thing that you said that I thought is incredibly invaluable, if it's just that alone, is the ability to have a conversation with somebody for that amount of time while you're just absorbing the facts. Because you go in there for 7 or 10 or 15 minutes, even if they give you a full 15 minutes and they're telling you, well, this is what we're going to do. This is what you have. You're shell shocked when you walked out of there, and people are asking you questions about it. You don't even remember because your brain isn't even working. Even if you bring somebody with you, you're still left with so much. And to have that guidance to just get the facts, you still have cancer, but you have the facts and the possibilities and the avenues that you can go to without that shell shock feeling of what I should have asked them this. I'm going to see them again in 4 weeks. For that 4 weeks, you live with this uncertainty. But having the knowledge, the facts, and then having some guidance, I think is an incredible. I'm married to a doctor. She's an MD, and she. I didn't realize how much of that was necessary throughout the process of any diagnosis with any medicine, and doctors are all different. They all have different philosophies and different views. They're not all the same. And I was raised in the way that, whatever the doctor said goes. Whatever they tell you to do, you do. And they're the gods of everything. And not that they're not. They're specialists and they know their areas, but there's some that have different philosophies and different ways and different viewpoints of how they look at things. And asking questions is okay.
Well, and I would say too, physicians that are in active practice, I have utmost respect for, because they're seeing 20, 30, 40 patients a day.
Sure.
They're really busy. And so if you think about what time they have to prepare for each individual patient, and most of the oncologists in the area are not specialized. So they're seeing an GI patient, and then a breast patient, and then maybe a lung cancer patient. So they're seeing all the different cancer diagnoses, and cancer is not cancer. Each individual cancer is treated very uniquely, especially now that we know more about the smart molecular targets. And that is such an important part of cancer diagnosis and treatment now, is to know what molecular markers should we be getting on this patient, on their tumor type, and what is unique about this cancer and this person. And that really drives the treatment regimen that they're going to be on. And so the changes that are happening so rapidly in oncology has well over 100 different indications a year that are coming out for the use of different oncology pharmaceuticals and therapies. And so it's probably across all of the disciplines in medicine, the most rapidly changing. And so to think about what that requires a physician who is seeing patients at that high level to be able to then go out and absorb in the literature and know every detail of what's changing.
It's incredible.
It's almost impossible. It really, truly is. And so that's one of the things that we do in the Cincinnati community. We offer every year. Dr. Jazzy is one of our physicians, and Dr. Robin Zahn, she was the president. She's just now the past president of the American Society of Clinical Oncology for the nation. And so we do every year the Best of Oncology. Every year in May, they have this huge conference where all of the oncologists across the country come together. I think there's probably over 50, 60,000 people that attend this conference. It's really incredible. It's in Chicago. And it's where all of the scientific discovery is shared across the oncology space, and all of the new abstracts and things that are happening in bench science and in therapeutics. And it's where all the melding of the minds come together. And so we in Cincinnati offer the Best of Oncology Conference, which is a review of that conference. It's all the best things that came out of that. And we bring those speakers in, and we educate the clinicians in the community, because not everybody can go to that conference. And just to be able to absorb all of that knowledge, it's kind of like we condense and we take the best parts, the things that are the most important, and try to disseminate that to the local oncology community. And I know the physicians have really appreciated that in our community, and we'd like to do more of that in the Southwest Florida area too. We are going to be doing a nursing conference next spring. There's not a lot of opportunity for the nursing community to get continuing education in the oncology space. So we would like to help be a partner in that way. So that being said, I kind of see us as just being this honest broker. We're not affiliated with anyone. We're not competing with anyone. We don't charge, so we're not billing. We're not, trying to take anyone's business. So we really can be that just partner, synergistic, helping all boats rise across the oncology space.
Oh, it's such a unique offering. It's something so special. I mean, there's so many people throughout the course of a year that I hear, my mother has this, I have that, I was just diagnosed. I mean, it's common. It's on a weekly basis. There's somebody always that I know that is encountering some version of it. Yeah,
I tell everyone you should, even if you feel comfortable and you're perfectly fine with your treatment plan, there is no harm, no foul with just having a review and make sure and just feel confident that you're on the right treatment plan.
Yeah, because even I remember my mother died of lung cancer, and I remember one of the decisions she had to make was whether she wanted to have the lung resected, and we didn't. At the time, we didn't think there was time to get a second opinion. We just thought, we got to get it out. It's got to happen right now. And then there was always this lingering, should we have done that? Like we just didn't have any affirmation at all. And that affirmation alone would bring peace. We knew it was inevitable that she was going to die. We knew that was coming with this diagnosis. And just how were we going to prolong and make her comfortable was the rest of it. But there was always that, should we have? And just having that simple affirmation of whatever choice we made or option to know that we made, that we chose the path that we thought was the best and we were advised that way, because that alone just will always live with us. Just it's always there that...
And many of the patients we see, I would say a third to half of the patients that we see, it is affirmation. Your physician has prescribed the exact same thing we would do. You're doing the right thing. That gives someone who, just as you said, has just that little, nagging thought of, am I doing everything I could? Because, sometimes it's your one shot to get that right. And you're like, I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. Yeah. And to walk out and know, yes, I'm giving myself or I'm giving my spouse or my family member, we're giving them the very best shot at beating this. Yeah. That just gives you so much more optimism and hope. And we know psychologically that going into cancer treatment with optimism and with a positive attitude just makes you get through that journey so much better.
Yeah, I can see how that would be such a blessing. When I think about my mother's chemotherapy after the resection, and then it spread to her, metastasized to her brain and her spinal fluid, and she was on a form of chemotherapy. And we gave her that last round. We didn't know it was going to be the last round of chemotherapy, and kind of did her in. That the next day she didn't regain consciousness, and we probably that was the right thing. This was 25 years ago. It was the right thing to do. I don't have any regrets about it, but I just go, oh, geez, if we wouldn't have just done that one last one, did it really make a difference? Could we had 2 more days or 5 more days or whatever it was? But having somebody just to comfort us along the way seems like such a cool, special thing that would give some inner peace to the thought process and the decisions that we had to make for her and that we had to live with, beyond that. So I think it's really special. And there's just no one who could not benefit from that. I mean, what do you have to lose?
Right. Exactly. It made me think when you were saying that, we were talking a little bit beforehand. My father was diagnosed with hepatocellular carcinoma in 2016, and he was 79. He was still working, big, strong guy, ran an excavation company. He was out working the day before he got sick and just thought he had a gallbladder attack. My brother takes him to the doctor, and they find a big liver mass months. And at that time, I was living away, and was just getting ready to start my job at the University of Cincinnati. Had just started there. Just met Dr. Barrett, in fact, and he was having just horrible pain, and he was being taken care of in a local hospital, small hospital, and they'd basically just given him a lot of pain medication. He was really not coherent anymore. He wasn't able to talk to us. So he went from being this strong guy that was out running excavation equipment yesterday to now he wasn't even able to communicate with us the next day.
He was doing what?
Running excavation equipment at 79. You know,
Really?
So from 24 hours, that was that much change, and that was actually my first experience with Dr. Barrett as an oncologist, and I'd told him about it, and I was honestly had just started my job there, and I was kind of uncertain, am I going to be able to stay, because I felt like I needed to take care of my dad. I grew up in a big family. I've got 4 brothers. I'm the only girl. I'm a nurse, and so he's like, well, let's bring him to here. So he actually had him transported to the University of Cincinnati and admitted. And to your point, it was a second opinion. It wasn't like going through what we're doing now, but he was doing the same thing at that point in time, giving us a second opinion and really talking through our options, because his cancer was so advanced, and really getting to know a person and what their goals are in life, where they are in life, what they want. My dad was a very high control person, such dignity. He did not want to lose control. He did not. So for him, he could have went down this path of doing chemotherapy and being really sick, but I knew that wasn't what he would have wanted. And we had a conversation. Dr. Barrett was able to do some radiation on him while he was there that decreased his pain almost immediately. And so suddenly he goes from unable to speak with us to his pain's under control, and now he's completely lucid, and we're able to have a strong 3 weeks. That's how long he lived after that. But during that time, we were able to spend just high quality time with him and have conversations that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world.
How precious.
And so I think to that point, it is really important that, and I think that's one of the things that we're able to do with the Second Opinion Clinic is really talk to people about what are your goals. It's one thing whenever you go and you get a diagnosis and the automatic is we're going to treat and we're going to do this, this, and this. But you don't even have time to think about, well, what are my goals? What do I want to do as a person? What do I want the rest of my life to be? What do I want the quality of my life to be? And so we really do try to talk to people about that. And I think that's a gift to the family. Sometimes that's a hard discussion to have with your spouse or your parent or your loved one.
But it's reality.
And so it is. And so we kind of help open that conversation so that it's easier to have because we're there with them, and it's an opportunity for them. And one thing I always love in our consults, our physicians always take the time to say to the caregiver or the partner to say, how are you doing? Because oftentimes the caregiver gets lost.
Of course.
It's all about the patient, and of course it should be, but that caregiver is going through just as much emotional turmoil and upset as well. And they're thinking about, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to, potentially live without this person, or how am I going to take care of this person and still keep my job and do all the things that I have to do in life?
They got to just deal with life.
And so we'd really try to look at the mental health and the just the family dynamics, and how can we help support that? And I always it's interesting to see that response, the caregiver getting asked that question, because they're not used to being asked that question, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And sometimes that can get very emotional because it's that first time that they've been asked, right, how are you holding up?
Right, because it's all about taking care of who they're taking care of, right? That's fascinating. Only having gone through the experience myself, it's fascinating to hear, like, had we been given that question, what is the goal here? Like, the reality is, Mom's going to die. We know that this is a terminal diagnosis, and what is the goal? Because it seemed like there was this team that was there, like, let's give her everything we got, give it all we got, let's keep it going, pump her full of this, pump her full, and that's their job. That's what they were doing. But we just didn't have And maybe there was that, but I wasn't present enough to hear any of it at the time.
Right.
We're just like, let's get her. We're gonna save her. We're gonna get her one more day.
The
2 more days.
adrenaline is just, it's almost like that adrenaline rush. If we just have to,
Yeah.
it's an emergency.
Yes. Yes. But not versus what's the goal. And if we know that's the truth, like what's our quality going to be like? And just having somebody, an outsider, to bounce that kind of stuff off of, to even present that as an option, as like there's other things to consider here. Because if I know my days are limited, how do I want the days to be with her? Like how valuable those are, like those 3 weeks with your dad. Like how incredible were those 3 weeks? And he wasn't suffering to the point of he was in such pain he couldn't talk to you, but he was you actually had a 3 weeks that will changed your life, and absolutely, I'm sure changed his on his way to heaven. He was a different human leaving the earth, having been so complete with you, and how special that was. Yeah,
it was.
I love that that there's something like this, because I just have seen so many people go through this.
Yeah, almost 1 in every 2 people is going to face this in some form or fashion.
Yeah,
either themselves or with a loved one. So it really is. It's something we're likely all going to face at some point in our life. And so I think just thinking about what resources are out there. I guess if there was one takeaway I would want from people to have from this whole conversation is just for people to know that this resource is here. It's right here in this Southwest Florida community, and it's very rare. It's not something that you can get anywhere else in the country except for in Cincinnati and in Southwest Florida. And really, we exist because of community support and because of philanthropy. And the support for the Naples site has come from the success of the Cincinnati site supporting the growth of the Naples site. And so we're really hoping that the Southwest Florida community kind of wraps their arms around this idea and this concept and sees it for the value that it is and really helps it grow, because all the money that we raise locally stays local to this chapter.
What a gift. What a gift to the community, really. And that's for everybody. It's not just for people in Port Royal. It's not just for people with money. It's for the whole community.
Right.
What a blessing for all of us, because it hits everybody. Sadly, we all are affected by it in some way or another. Yeah. You're a nurse.
I am a nurse.
Is that where you started?
That's how I started. Yeah. So I went to Ohio University and graduated and worked as a nurse for the first several. Well, I've always worked as a nurse to some degree, but worked on patient care floors for the first few years of my career, and then kind of got into administrative functions, and was at Dina Health System, a small little community hospital, for the first 13 years of my career, and then went to the big city in Columbus at Ohio State and worked at the James Cancer Hospital for a number of years, and that's where I worked on my PhD. And then I also have taught for Franklin University for about 17 years in their healthcare management program.
You have a lot of initials after your name. You've done a lot of work post. And are you an MBA also?
Yes,
Yeah, so you've done a PhD, MBA, or a lot. So the nurse part, you started there. Why? How did you? Were you always this nurturing kind of soul?
Well, I grew up in I grew up in a small town in Appalachia where there was just a lot of need, a lot of disparity, and I think I grew up in a family that was always very in tune and generous to the needs of people around. And so I think I always just had that mindset of what's the problem? How can we fix it? And so I think that my aunt was a nurse, and so I think I admired what she did. And I believe I was like 16 years old. There was like one of these career fairs that came to school, and they were talking to you about what do you want to do with your career path, and they were talking about different things to do, and I think that just kind of piqued my curiosity, and I was always very into academics and athletics, and I think nursing was, a pretty academically challenging degree program, and so I really enjoyed that side of it, and just continuing to extend my education. I'm a lifelong learner. It has been my motto in life that if I didn't learn something today, I didn't try hard enough. So
And you, four brothers?
four brothers.
Four
Yeah.
brothers? Where are you in the birth order?
I'm the youngest.
Oh.
Yeah. So
See, you were the baby of the family.
yeah, I was the baby. Yeah. Yeah.
And your dad was in what business? What was he doing?
So he had multiple businesses, but he was in excavation and construction. He had an auto parts store. And it's like my very first job was when I was 14. Was doing inventory in the auto parts store.
Always working around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is your mother alive?
She is. My
is?
mom is 88 in August, and she still lives in Chillicothe. She just recently had to move to an assisted living, so it's been kind of a big shift in our family from moving from the family home to an assisted living.
Yeah.
She has macular degeneration, so doesn't see well. So she's not been able to be on her own, but she's doing very well. She's
Good.
extremely bright-minded, listens to probably 5 to 6 books a week or a month rather on tape. And
Really?
just very, very cognitively alert.
Yeah, that's awesome. Has she always been that way?
Yes. Always a big reader. And
How would she describe you? Her baby girl.
oh, that's a good question. I guess I've never asked her that. I don't know. I guess she would probably always say I was always trying to kind of test the limits a little bit and try to keep up with the boys.
The competitiveness. Okay. Who were you in high school?
I was a kind of a scholar athlete. I played multiple sports: basketball, volleyball, softball. Was in the band. I lived really close to the school, a small town, so walk to school in the morning. So it wasn't it was very Mayberry-ish in that sense. So I was the valedictorian in my high school. I was always been a kind of a high achiever and competitive in that way. Not competitive so much with others, but more competitive with myself.
It's come natural for you, testing and learning, and is it just something that's in your blood? Like to have that discipline to me is always fascinates me to be able to,
I don't know. I think it probably was just part of my upbringing. I think when you grow up with, I always say I was raised by wolves. I think when you grow up with brothers and then that kind of competitive environment, it makes you more aware that you have to stay sharp and alert. You never know when you're going to get pummeled. But no, I really get along really well with my brothers. I probably text with them 3 or 4 times a week or more. Awesome. So we're a pretty close family, and I say that they really taught me how to be successful in life. Through all the trials and tribulations of growing up with them.
Are they spread around the country too? Or are they still?
There's one here in Florida, one that is a snowbird that goes back and forth between here and Ohio, and the other 2 are close. So everyone's still pretty close in geography.
Yeah. What do you miss about home?
I think the simplicity. There's, no politics in the sense that, growing up in a small town, not to say there's no politics, but simplicity of small town life and just knowing your neighbors. And I think being in a fabric of a community.
Who was a big influence on you growing up?
Well, my dad is from his father was from a big family, 10 kids. So wow. I grew up with all of these aunts and uncles, and that we used to spend a ton of time when I was a kid at my aunts and uncles, and they were always really, I think, very influential in our lives. And I had an uncle who was a coach, a basketball coach, and a teacher, a lot of teachers in my family. And he was always very encouraging. I remember he would always, like, how many A's you got on your report card, he would give you $1 for every A you got on your report card. So that was always an incentive to do well. And I think education was always really highly encouraged. In the area where we grew up in Appalachia, the graduation rate and even the college completion rate is just dismal. So I feel like that was something in my family that was always really highly encouraged, that it wasn't, if you go to college, it was, you will go to college but it wasn't expected that my parents were going to pay for that. So we all had to figure out how we were going to pay for our college and work and, make our way. And, but it was expected that we were going to do that. And so, I think, not in a overly demanding way, but I think it was just built in at a young age that was, what they wanted to see us do with our lives. And, I think we were raised in a very, traditional kind of religious family. We went to church, 2 or 3 times a week.
Is that right? Yeah.
So it's part, very much a part of our life. And my dad was a pretty strict disciplinarian. And I think raising 4 boys in a community where there was lots of opportunities to get into things that could have taken them down the wrong path. I think he held a very steady hand. Yeah. And I think at the time they probably didn't appreciate that, but I think now we all look back and think that we're very thankful that they raised us that way.
Yeah, didn't like it in the moment. I had one of those dads too. I never liked it at all, but now I look back and go, yeah, he had some foresight that I didn't know about at the time. I was happy he was that way. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, good people turn out of that. What's something that when you first got to Naples, because you had never been here before, what's something that stood out to you coming here?
I think just, as I'd mentioned to you earlier, I think just how neighborly people are. It's just such a friendly community. I have just really felt at home here. And I think because I did grow up in a small community, and it feels like, it's not extremely small, but it feels small. As I'm going out to different events, I start to see the same people. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know that person. It was pretty easy to meet people. People are friendly. They're generally happy. Yeah. And I think, living here in the sunshine, of course, makes you a little happier, I'm sure. But I just really love the culture here, the friendliness. And I would say in the business community, what I have seen, that there is such a concerted effort to help grow small businesses and network and just bring opportunity into this community, so that small businesses can thrive. And so I think there's just so many opportunities here.
What do you?
And generosity, I would say too.
Yeah. What does your typical day look like?
Well, my day has changed a lot lately. So I don't know if I had mentioned this to you earlier, but the director in our Cincinnati office, Steve Abbott, he was a prostate cancer survivor for many, many years, for over a dozen years. And he passed away in late summer of last year. And so as such, I have been now going back and forth and covering our Cincinnati and our Naples office. So I haven't been here as much as I was before. And we've hired a nurse practitioner in our office, Mandy Reed, and a scheduler, Alicia LaPlante, and we have a physician here on site, Dr. MJ. And so we're growing, and I'm getting ready to bring on a fundraising and development person later this summer who will they're from Naples and, kind of native here. So I think that's going to be really helpful to be a face and out in the community, since I can't be here as often. Yeah. So I guess a day for me can vary from, doing something like this with you to dealing with some different things related to our foundation, or working on planning for what our patient volumes might look like, or strategies around how we're going to grow in our Naples community, and networking with others, helping with fundraising efforts. One of the big things that we're really excited about is our Wine, Women, and Shoes event. And we're going to be doing that for the third time. And it's February 21st at the Naples Sailing and Yacht Club. It's a different yacht club this time. So it's Naples Sailing and Yacht Club. And that has been, this will be our third. The first two have been extremely successful. We were noted as one of the best events of season for the first two times. So we're just trying to continue to up our game. And that's one of our biggest fundraising events. And we're looking forward to.
And what is the event?
So it's really a day of just fun, shopping, all for a good cause. And it starts at 11 a.m. and goes to 3 p.m. So we have vendors. We have different activations where ladies can get involved, like Best in Shoe and a wine wall and mystery boxes and a raffle and different things. But then we have a sit-down luncheon where we talk about the mission of Naples Cancer Advisors. We have a live auction, and when we do a mission moment. And then the fun part of the show, the fun part of the program is our fashion show. And this year we're going to have a local, well-known designer who's going to be releasing her line at our fashion show.
Cool.
So we're pretty excited about that.
Well, whatever we can do to support.
And that's Turk and Turk. I don't know if you've heard of Turk and Turk and Ilka Turk.
Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, so she's going to be our fashion designer and help run our fashion show and be releasing her line.
Oh, cool. And you have an auction that people can buy things at?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
All right, well, we will for sure contribute handsomely to
Awesome.
that. Zach, you got to make a note for us that we.
Oh, we'd love to have you
Marina
involved.
to make sure that we support you in any way that we
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're real happy about it. And that's in February.
That's February 21st,
Okay.
2026. Yes, the
Okay.
Naples Sailing and Yacht Club.
Okay, downtown. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. We'll be a part of that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
What are some current books or podcasts that are in your rotation? I know we talked a little bit about that before.
So I have been really kind of into the longevity space. I've been watching a lot of things with is it Brian Asprey? Have you seen
Yes.
some of his? I think that's pretty interesting. I also like The Diary of a CEO. I watch a lot of his podcasts. I bounce around between different ones. I really like the Mayim Bialik. What's it called? Breakdown. I don't know if you've seen her. She the Amy from Big Bang Theory, Mayim Bialik.
Oh, okay.
She has a really interesting podcast. She's got some just kind of fringe types of things that she talks about.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy her
Yeah,
stuff.
sometimes I need to step away from the how do I make myself better, my life better stuff. I have to just get outside of the, because then I'm beating myself up. Like, why am I sitting here listening to this when I should be doing what they're doing and they're making their life better? And so I have to have things that make me drift away from always striving for the next best thing.
Yeah.
So,
What ones do you like to listen to?
I'm all over the place. When I escape from things, it's usually some crime murder thing or something like that, some Dateline type thing. And now that the World Series of Poker is going on, I watch some poker vlogs, a video vlogs. But Diary of the CEO, Joe Rogan, of course. And I listen to a lot of books on tape.
Me too.
Not tape anymore, whatever. Books on digitally anyway.
Yes.
Always in the car, always feeding my mind with something that fills the space. If not, it gets filled with noise that's not helpful. So.
I'm listening to the one now, Let Them, Mel Robbins. Have you heard that one? That's a really good one. Just like when there's things you can't control, like you let yourself get so uptight and anxious about things that if you just say, let them, why do you feel like you need to control that?
Yeah.
Just let it go.
I like that.
It's a really good book. So
That's the name of the book?
It's called Let Them. Mm-hmm.
Let Them.
Mel Robbins. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I need that in my life. Because it's automatic. It keeps coming back, when I realize, the moment like when you talked about the 3 weeks with your dad, I just think I so live like I have all the time in the world, like that I have so much. That's even why I have this thing here. This is my reminder, not about how much time I need or how much time I've spent or used, but this is like my little reminder of, this is the time we have, or that we think we have. We have this hour. It represents an hour. This is the time that's already happened. Life's already happened down here, and this is the present. And really, that's all we have no idea what's up there. But I live like I have all of that. Like I know I have so much time. I've 800 more weeks. If we live 4,000 weeks, I have 800 left. But that's not true. I don't know that.
That's very true.
I only have that right there. That's all I got. So I always am interested in things that kind of keep me present, keep me in the moment without, that where I become that control freak that I have to have it a certain way, and I have to sometimes just let them. I like that.
Yeah, it's been really eye-opening for me, and enlightening. I myself, thinking about that hourglass. I went through a cancer diagnosis myself when I was 42 years old. I'm 52 now, so it's been about 10 years ago. It was a year before my dad was diagnosed, and I was, didn't expect, didn't think I had cancer, and was very shocked by the diagnosis, and had to make some pretty big decisions that would have altered my life. And I opted to do some things that were less, I did some things that were more conservative than what was recommended. So I kind of went against an opinion, went with kind of more of a second opinion, and it's ultimately worked out well for me. But I think that was my daughter was 16 at the time, right at that prime of her life.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I think it's an eye-opening period of time whenever you're faced with your immortality, and you have to think about, what's important in life, and what are you willing to spend your life working on. I think that's what I have really kind of come to think about, is what do I want to spend my time working on.
Yeah. Mitchell, one of the guests who I spoke to a couple weeks ago, was another guest who brought that up in a conversation. He was diagnosed with cancer at some point in his life, and he looked at it as one of the greatest blessings that he's ever had. I mean, it was a tough year, a tough time for him, but the way he contextualized it and how his life goes now is so different. He just is, he feels like, every day is such a blessing, and the way he looked at things was really fascinating to me. Not that I would want that on anyone, but it's ironic that you had a diagnosis the same. And then there was also Adrian too, right, Zach? Wasn't it Adrian who was the other one? Brain cancer. And
wow.
Yeah, he's a director of Florida Sports, Paradise Park.
Paradise Sports Complex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just vital, great guy. But, it just brought him back into what really matters, like what really matters. And, when you have your health, you have everything. And
Right.
think about other things. But, well, I'm happy to hear that you're successfully...
Yeah, I feel very privileged to get to do what I do, and can certainly appreciate what people are going through, and that moment of noise and chaos, and I think we're a beacon. We can be a beacon to people when they're going through that storm.
And a parent at the same time to a child at such a tender age. You've got to not be vulnerable, but be vulnerable. Like, you got to be a way that I can't even imagine. Like, you have this.
You look back at things like that, and I probably didn't handle it the way maybe like a psychiatrist would tell you to handle things. I look back and I think, I don't know that we really had conversations with her. I think we just kind of tried to keep it quiet and not really talk about it, and keep it from her so she wasn't afraid. And kids,
who really knows anyway?
Kids are so very observant, though. So I often wonder, was she just kind of silently afraid and afraid to ask questions?
Yeah.
I think those are important things to look back on and think about, that families that are going through that, those are hard conversations to have with your kids.
I'm sure. Yeah. And who knows the right way? Who knows the textbook way or whatever? Then nobody's walked in your shoes, or they don't know.
And she just got married last
Oh,
fall.
awesome. Oh,
So
congratulations.
she's
That's
doing
awesome.
really well,
Wow.
and I'm excited to think about next steps. I've already put my order in for.
Is she down here?
She's actually up in Cincinnati.
She's
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you do for holidays? You go up there?
I do typically go. Actually, that we're down here for 4th of July. My husband's
good.
down here, and so we're spending 4th of July down here.
But the December holidays up in the cold, or
We typically do go up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll come down though for part of the right after the Christmas day.
Yeah.
Come down.
Any grandkids on the way, or is that
Not
something-
yet.
is that-
So I just have one. She's our one and only, and so my husband and I have been married for 31 years in May.
Congratulations!
And,
Wow.
We met when I was very young and had dated for a long time, and so he's been the true staple and the steady person in my life,
Yeah.
and I don't know what I would have done without him.
So were you, after you became a nurse, were you working in the world when you got your MBA or when you did your PhD? And
I worked the whole time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been, I mentioned to you earlier that our parents had a high expectation that we would
Yeah.
go to school, but we had to
pay
figure
for
out
it.
how to pay for it. So I figured out how to pay for it. You work and you let your organizations that you work for help pay for it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Just a lot to juggle. I just
yeah.
can't imagine. Yeah.
But when you're young, if you just do it when you're young,
Yeah.
you don't even know any difference, right? You just do it. I think it's harder if you put it off and go back and do it when you're older and you got to juggle all the other
I
things.
just have a lot of admiration for
Yeah.
people who go beyond a undergrad. Just can't wait to get out of it. No more. And then you go for 2 more and 4 more. And and you had to do so much more work on your own. The higher up you go,
Mm-hmm.
just God bless you. Don't have it in me. Not at all.
Well, it sounds like your wife, though. What type of physician is she?
She works in orthopedics. She's not a
Oh,
surgeon,
okay.
but she works for Arthrex, and she
Okay.
works in medical education at Arthrex.
Oh,
So
that's an awesome company.
she loves, she's a great career there, and they are just doing some incredible things with orthopedics. They're really putting a lot back into the development of medicine.
The new orthopedic hospital, and I went to some different presentations of all the new things that they're doing, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's exciting. I love hearing about it. She works with biologics. Now she's working with spine. So she gets to do a lot of different areas of medicine and science, which she just loves it all. So she can have a life, and
She's kind
also-
of right there on the cutting edge of all the So she's probably someone who, when you're talking about like second opinions, like she knows what's coming.
Yeah.
So you can almost, someone that's going to a physician maybe that is getting some very traditional therapy, that she's going to know, like, hey,
100%.
here's what's next.
Yeah, she's always. I mean, she's got her head buried in something new, and what's going on in every area of medicine. She really is very involved in it, and I've learned so much being married to her, but also just the field that she's in and what she discovers every day. And I just, I used to hear her as like, she'll watch the podcast sometimes. She'll say, you need to sit up straight when you're back. You're gonna have a hump neck. She's always looking out for me in so many ways.
I'm sure she's very proud of you doing this.
Oh, she's the best thing.
Now, have you
ever
had
happened in
her
my
on
life.
as a guest?
I would love to. I would love to have her, but I don't think there's any way she would ever do it. She's always behind the scenes. She's like, no. I'll have to ask her. So, honey, did you hear?
She'd be a great
you've
guest.
been invited, please. Yeah, I want to see her reaction to this now that I'm talking directly to you, Michelle. Yeah, I would love to have that, but I don't think. Maybe someday I'll have to keep working on her for that because, she says she's always behind the scenes, just like she likes to be. She's so modest about everything that she does, and she's like changed my life in such a special way. I don't know who I'd be without her. So she's a special woman, and I'm blessed
That's
to
awesome.
have her. Yeah.
How many children do you have?
We are. So I had my first marriage, which was my practice marriage, and I have 2 children from that. And Michelle and I are now doing IVF, and hopefully we'll be. We have 1 embryo, and might be doing an implantation this summer. So.
Good luck.
If all goes well, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm a little bit more mentally stable. It seems like at this stage of my life, where I am not in all chaos with the first round. So I love kids. I absolutely love kids. They're just such a reminder to me of what life truly is, because they're just so present.
Right.
They're just so in the now and so in
They're just living right there in that space all the time, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're such a gift to see that and be with them, and they're so authentic and open and honest, and just tell you like it is without any remorse at all. They're just so straight. I just love the gift that they are. So that's why I'm hoping that there are more to come. Anyway, yeah. So
Well, good luck.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'll have to tell her that you invited her on the show too, so she'll be here. Is there something that that you would say are the biggest barriers to cancer care? Because you're tackling, I think, some of those things. But what do you think some of the biggest barriers are for cancer care in the world right now?
I think, and I think about my dad and with men, I think are afraid to go out and hear that diagnosis or go get a screening. It's kind of like if it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
I think women are more to go and get screening because it's more accepted. I think we need to encourage men more to get screening. And I think we can do that with the men in our lives. I think as women, we need to encourage the men in our lives to get their screening, to get their PSA, to get their Cologuard or their colonoscopy. Those are things that I think that having a late diagnosis is sometimes just a shame, because it could have been caught so much earlier. And I do see that sometimes with young people who come in and maybe they'd been having symptoms for a while. They didn't think about it. They didn't think about being cancer, or they were just afraid. They didn't want to know. And if you wait, the odds of curing it just, are harder to come back from. But if you catch cancer early, it's very, very, very curable. And I think that's an important takeaway, is getting those screenings. If you've been a smoker in the past, they have lung screening now that's just a really quick, in a CT machine, less than 5 minutes, can tell you if you have any lung nodules, or men getting their PSAs, paying attention to your skin, going to a dermatologist, especially down here in the sun.
Yeah.
It can be so easy to have a melanoma, let it go. And that's so curable if it's caught early. So I think that's something to take away. I think also just people being aware of that a second opinion is out there, whether it be with us or anyone. I think people knowing that is available to them, and that it's okay to do that, and that it doesn't always have to feel like it's such an emergency that you can't stop and take a breath and get that information before you move forward. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to delay your treatment months and months.
Yeah.
But taking a few weeks to just, make sure that you're on the right path, because, we have seen patients who have come in to see us who, have been on the wrong therapy, or we're going to go down a path that they didn't need to go down with therapy they didn't really need to have. And we were able to intervene and help them. And one thing that we really, I think, and I'm really proud that we do this, we never triangulate a patient with their physician. And I know that's oftentimes a question that people have. They're like, okay, how do you guys do what you do without making the physicians mad and angry? And our physicians are really good at what they do, and it's all very backed by evidence-based research. And so we call the physician, and our physician has a peer-to-peer conversation with them. And they say, I saw your patient today. I like your plan. This is, just a couple things that I might suggest that you might consider, or here's some tests that I think you might want to add on to that, or, if there's some pushback or disagreement, there's always here's the evidence, or here's the latest research. And 9 times out of 10, it's always an agreeable, okay, I see where you're coming from. Let's do that. Because physicians want the best for their patients.
Yeah.
And so working as a team, the patient wins. And I think that's where, we're able to help give that kind of neutrality, and have the conversation with the physicians where they don't feel like we're trying to compete with them or trying to take their patients.
Yeah.
And so I think, those are things that I would want people to think about, that, that this resource is available.
It's something that's so needed. And I think anybody listening at any point of life, I think it's really, this is something that can impact everyone's life. And at what stage, because I think there might be this going on in somebody's mind, well, do I have to have a certain income level? Do I have to not be at an income level? Or am I getting a handout here? What is this? And when should they call? So just so that people are 100% clear, who can pick up the phone and call you?
Anyone, truly anyone. We don't even check income. We don't even look at an insurance card. So it really is for all comers. We're agnostic to insurance as it relates. So if you have nothing and you have no insurance, you can see us. If you do have insurance, you can see us. So it really has nothing to do with that. It's a free service, because it really is an altruistic mission to help break down the barriers that people face in navigating the cancer journey. And that really was Dr. Barrett's ultimate goal, was to reduce the mortality and suffering associated with a cancer diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
And that is through doing what we do, that you don't have to face a cancer diagnosis alone, and that, there's someone here to help guide you through that process. And, I think people sometimes think that just sounds too good to be true, because there's not really anything else out there.
Yeah, what's the catch?
What's the catch?
Yeah.
There really is none.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's all supported by people who give generously to support what we do. And it's all a philanthropic mission. And so
thank you, Dr. Barrett.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's no one better than to be a testimony of it, because firsthand.
Absolutely.
What happened there. Wow. All right, some fun questions.
Okay.
Do you have a hidden talent most people don't know about you?
Not especially, I don't think.
You probably have to ask your brothers.
Yeah.
On the follow-up, we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe. I used to be a really fast runner. I don't
is
think
that right? You're a runner? Okay.
Used to be.
All right.
I am not anymore.
And you played softball.
Is that your
basketball.
Sport?
Basketball too?
Yeah, volleyball was my favorite.
Oh,
that
really?
Was yeah.
Oh, yeah. You get that spike over the net.
Yeah.
Huh? What music's playing in your car, or when you're in the zone?
I oftentimes listen to news radio. I'm kind of a nerd, but I listen to all kinds of music. Honestly, I really don't have just one genre. I kind of listen to all kinds of music. I like 60s, 70s rock, kind of the old school, but I don't have any specific.
Okay, a range.
Yeah.
When news isn't on, news
Yes.
or a podcast isn't on, right? What's your coffee order? Because you got almost got a ticket for a Starbucks.
That's
so
true. It's usually a caramel macchiato.
Okay. I'll have to remember that for next time. We didn't have the caramel in your cappuccino.
But I'm trying to
today.
cut down my sugar intake. So
Yeah. Okay. If you weren't doing this work, what do you think you'd be doing today?
I don't know. I don't think I want to do anything else. I don't know. This is what my heart is.
What's something about you that most people don't know but should?
Wow, these are hard questions. Deep thoughts with Jack Handy.
Remember that? Yeah.
Let's see. What is something? I'm serious in my work, but I actually am pretty jovial and kind of a cut up in my day-to-day life. I like humor. And I like levity.
What are you doing when you're not working? What are you doing weekends for fun?
I usually do things with family. This past weekend, visited with my daughter and we played pickleball.
pickleball.
And so her new husband, he's quite the pickleball player, and it was just the three of us, and it was two of us against him. And after he beat us in the first two games, we realized he was playing with his left hand. He's not left-handed.
Oh, wow. Two against one, and he's playing with his opposite hand. He must be really good.
He is. He's really good. So I got a long way to go on my pickleball.
Hey, you're getting out there. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law's a pro, and I still haven't done it yet.
I haven't played very many times, but I really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. And I one of my goals is I really wanted to learn to golf. So I've met a friend here who I've met through Naples Cancer Advisors. She's actually done some talks for us. Her name's Debbie Barnes, and she golfs. And so she's told me she'll give me some golf lessons.
Golf capital of the world. Yeah, I don't golf either, so I know. Yeah, you have to golf here. I guess that's what somebody's got to do it. Let's get to the deck.
Oh, this is the deck.
All right, so go ahead and pull one from there.
Is this a magic deck? Do I read it?
Sure.
Which do you trust more, your head or your heart? Well, I would like to say I trust my heart more, but I would say sometimes I get kind of conflicted between my head and my heart. I think sometimes my head gets in the way. And so I think I need to learn to trust my heart more.
Because the heart's usually right.
Right. I think your gut instinct is usually the right instinct.
Good. I like that. I get to do it again.
Who is the one person in your life that knows you best? Well, I would say definitely my husband. He's my best friend, and I can really tell him anything. And he's a great listener, listens to me endlessly. I know sometimes he probably has to think, oh my goodness, would she just shut up? But he's very patient and listens and gives really good advice.
What's his name?
His name's Tony.
How would Tony describe you?
I think he would describe me as fun-loving, generous giving, and worry too much about what other people think. I think that's what he would say.
Yeah, good.
Because he would tell me, like, why do you worry about this stuff? Just, who cares?
That's that big compassionate heart you have.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Clay, because that's really important. I think most importantly for people who are affected by this, and everyone, I don't think there's anyone who's ever going to listen to this who has not been affected in some way. What do they do?
So they can either call us at 239-846-2273, and that's 239-846-CARE, C-A-R-E, or at www.naplescanceradvisors.org, and there's an online consultation form that you can fill out. So either way, you can call and get a consultation through a phone message or through the online portal.
Oh, so they could start the process that easily. And at any stage.
And at any stage, absolutely. We have seen patients who, as a matter of fact, I remember, just not too long ago, a woman called us who had been referred from a friend of hers that knew one of our physicians, and she was planning to go to another cancer center and get a second opinion. And it was going to cost her about $20,000 to do that, because she was going to have to go have all of her scans redone and all of the blood work, all of that stuff. Yeah. And oftentimes that's what happens with people, because they don't accept the scans and stuff that you've had someplace else. They want them all done in their system. And whether that's to make money or not, I have no idea. Sometimes it's just that they just know that what's done in their system they can trust. And, but regardless, the patient ends up having to pay for that. And so she saw our physician, and interestingly enough, he had taught and was a professor and had mentored the physician she was going to go see at the other organization. And so he was able to do her second opinion without ordering all of that stuff. He was able to review all of her records, give her peace of mind, help her get on the right path, and, saved her $20,000, and she didn't pay anything for us. And so she's someone who's, we've continued to see throughout different parts of her journey. That happens sometimes. Folks will come to a decision point in their treatment journey, and they'll come back and they'll say, okay, this is my next step. What do you think? Is this the right choice? Should I do this or this? And we'll, go through everything again with them and help make sure that they're making those right decisions. It's kind of like a decision tree oftentimes when you're going through this, where you start and you're starting on, standard of care therapy. If you first get a diagnosis, you're not always immediately going to jump to a clinical trial.
Yeah.
It's oftentimes you're going to be doing standard therapy.
Right.
But at some point, depending on the trajectory of your cancer, a clinical trial might be the right thing for you at a different point in your care. And so that's where people can come to us at different parts of their journey, and we can be helpful in each step of that.
Yeah, because just what a tremendous service. Just such a need for something like that. Just incredible.
It's like kind of having a doctor in the family.
Yeah.
You think about your wife.
No, I know what it's like.
It's very similar to that. That you have a phone a friend. You have someone that you can call to just get very objective, very good advice. That because our physicians are really top of the field. Just like you were talking about your wife. That she knows everything that's coming next in orthopedic medicine. Well, that's what our physicians, because they have the time and because they're specialized, they know everything that's coming next in oncology, and they are at the top of their game and know all the players in the oncology space. And so I think that's what is really a benefit to patients is they not only get to see us, they get the Rolodex of that physician, of their contacts, and who that they can put them in touch with.
What a great resource for people. I just love that. And we're blessed.
Rolodex, who even says that anymore, right?
I know what you meant. Maybe some people wouldn't. I know. I'd love to still have one of those sitting around just to ask people, do you know what that is? Especially most of the people that are here. That's an honor, and we're blessed to have you in our community. We're just really happy to have you. And I know a lot of what you do and a lot of what you're about is all about others. And so when it comes time to talk about you, it's usually uncomfortable for people because it's never about you. It's always about what you're doing for others. You're a giver, and as a nurse initially, and as the baby sister of the siblings that you are, you're always taking care of others. So we're blessed to have you here.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. What a great service you're doing with this podcast. So
we're just surrounded in this great community with great people. So we want to make sure that the world knows. And this is something. This one is near and dear to my heart. What you provide for people. So I think it's really special, and I think it'll be something that as the word gets out. And I want to make sure the word gets out because there's nobody that I know that is not going to be able to benefit from this, such a great thing. So thank you for that. And I have one more question.
Sure.
Because this one's back on you now.
Okay.
So. What do you love about your life?
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm at a point in my career and at a point in my age. People talk about that they dread getting older. And for me, I don't. I feel like with age comes wisdom. I wouldn't mind having my body when I was 30 again, but I wouldn't trade where I am as far as what I feel like I've been through in my life and what I've learned, the lessons I've learned. I like the fact that I have a wonderful relationship with my husband and with my family and my daughter, and that I get blessed every day to be able to do the job that I do. And I think that's just so much to be grateful for. So
love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do. And we appreciate you. Appreciate having you in our backyard, in our community here.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lana, thank you for showing us what it means to lead with heart, to listen deeply, and to never give up on people, especially when they're at their most vulnerable. Your work at Naples Cancer Advisors is not just about medicine, it's about dignity, clarity, and giving people their power back during one of the hardest seasons of their lives. You've built something rare and beautiful, a place where hope meets expertise, where second opinions open new paths, and where no one walks through cancer alone. We're so grateful for your vision, for your voice, and the love you pour into this community. Southwest Florida is lucky to have you, and we're honored to shine the spotlight on you today. Thank you.